The Democratic Governors Association has spent roughly $45 million promoting the most radical Republican candidates during this year's midterm primary season. You may have heard about it on this show or elsewhere. Democrats believe that running against the most radical Republicans will make it more likely they win in the general election. But, of course, what if they don't win? And how can they at one moment tell the public how dangerous these candidates are, which they do, and then in the next moment put money behind supporting them? I've called it a sort of strange, dishonest, potentially disastrous political effort by Democrats happening all over the country. And on this show, I recently asked the head of the Democratic Congressional Committee, Congressman Sean Maloney, about the strategy. He said this.
Look, I run the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, and I want to win elections. My job is to hold the House because I believe the moral imperative right now is to keep dangerous MAGA Republicans who would end our democracy from holding the gavels and being in power. And that's where my focus is. And everything we do at the DCCC is designed to keep dangerous MAGA Republicans from controlling the House.
Now let's look at the most recent polling data and see if it holds. Now, races almost always tighten when it comes down to just two candidates. That said, it seems fair to say that from a purely political perspective, the Democrat strategy is working, sort of. Let's start with Pennsylvania's governor race, where Josh Shapiro currently holds a 6-point lead over Trump-endorsed candidate Doug Mastriano, who benefited from nearly $1 million in campaign support from the Democratic Party. Mastriano is a 2020 election denier who not only attended the protest at the Capitol on the 6th, but paid for buses there. The poll numbers are closer than the 10-point lead Shapiro had at the end of July, so it is getting closer. But it would appear they are likely doing better than they would have, they being the Democrats, if Mastriano's opponent, Lou Barletta, had won the primary. In Illinois, Democrats spent roughly $35 million to attack the more moderate candidate, Richard Irvin, in the governor's race in favor of the far-right candidate, Darren Bailey. Bailey eventually won the primary and is now down 20 points to incumbent Democrat J.B. Pritzker. Let's call that a win for Democrats. But then there's Arizona, where Democrats didn't spend money to support Trump-backed Kari Lake, but they did all they could to make sure Republican voters were aware of her opponent's past support of Democratic candidates. According to the most recent poll there, the race is neck and neck, with Democrat Katie Hobbs up only 1 point in an aggregation of 2 polls. It's hard to find a more vocal and election-denying extremist than Kari Lake. So let's mark this one as a potential Democrat disaster. Look, maybe the strategy will work. We shall see. But Democrats are defending it by saying it's a practice that the Republican Party has engaged in for years. It's time for us to fight back. I haven't found any evidence of Republicans doing this on any kind of systemic basis, the way Democrats are. And it's not yet clear that it's going to pay off. The other option is that a serious extremist candidate gets elected with the help of the Democratic Party. Joining me now to discuss is Democratic strategist Jared Leopold. Jared, thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate it. All right, so you think that this strategy is working?
Yeah, absolutely. It looks that way so far. But, you know, the only poll that matters on election day, as they always say.
But isn't that a dangerous risk? I mean, right? I mean, the idea that, we think it works. But, if Mastriano gets elected in Pennsylvania and he says, he could basically decertify all the voting machines. You know what? We tried and we lost.
Look, I think all the Democratic Party did was shine a mirror on the GOP. And what we've seen is that the Republican Party is rotten to the core. I mean, Pennsylvania is a great example. You have Mastriano, who was the coordinator of the fake electors, versus Lou Barletta, who was a fake elector. So when you're choosing between those two, what does it matter in terms of the democracy?
Well, look, again, I'm not going to defend Mastriano or Barletta. I am going to criticize, though, the Democrats' strategy here. I mean, if it didn't make a difference, then, the idea that Democrats are putting money behind one of them, I guess they think he's easier to beat than Barletta would have been. But, you look at something like the Dr. Oz race, right? You could make an argument that in terms of moderation, Dr. Oz might be more of a moderate than Fetterman is.
I don't know how you do that. I mean, Dr. Oz is the one who's stood with Donald Trump the whole time. But I think fundamentally, like the people who are coming out of these primaries, with or without Democratic intervention, are MAGA Republicans. MAGA Republicans are winning 3 out of every 4 Republican primary, and it doesn't even involve the Democrats spending money.
Oh, and that's true. You mentioned not spending money. Let's talk about Arizona for a minute, the Kari Lake race, right? Kari Lake is probably, one of the most out there candidates now. I don't know if it's an act. I don't know if, this is really what she believes. This certainly seems like a very different person than the television news anchor who I watched do interviews with Obama and others for many years. But for whatever reason, she is now not just parroting the most extreme portions of the Republican Party. She's actually become the most extreme part of the Republican Party. And yet Democrats during the election sort of were making comments about her opponent to make sure that voters knew, Republican voters knew, that her opponent had voted with Democrats. That seems like a clear effort to help Kari Lake potentially get the nomination. And now she's got it, and it's close.
Look, as a Democratic communications strategist, I've written a lot of press releases in my life, and I don't think that one press release was going to shape that primary. There's a point where Democrats spend money, and those are races that are fair to bring up this question. I don't think Arizona Democrats put a real finger on the scale there.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.